Hello and welcome. I'm Nathan, and today we're reviewing this 2013 Hyundai Veloster Turbo. Now this vehicle is special not only because it's the turbo model, but because I recently went through the process of fixing this vehicle up for a profit. So probably by the time you're watching this video, this vehicle has already been sold. So if you want to watch the process of me fixing this vehicle up for some extra cash, be sure to check out the link above here. And in today's review, I'm going to go over all the ins and outs of this vehicle and what's made it special, and the fact that it's lasted now 250,000 kilometers. So let's get going. When this first generation Veloster came out back in 2012 here in North America, I thought it was a huge risk for Hyundai to take because not only is it a three-door vehicle, meaning that there's an extra third door here on the back, it's also very different in terms of styling, nothing that you'd see in their lineup and also in other vehicles at that time. Now, honestly, I think that the styling has actually held up quite well even 10 years later that this has been on the road, but not to mention that even now, it's not a vehicle that you'd probably want to go out and buy because most people want larger vehicles nowadays. Now, in terms of what you got for the exterior design on the Veloster Turbo, you actually got the upgraded projector headlights with the LED lighting and also LED taillights. And not to mention that really cool turbo badge at the back that reminds everybody that you paid that little bit extra to get the more fun vehicle. You step inside this interior and it feels just like a regular coupe, except for it's not. As I said, this is a three-door, but yet the interior, the size of it, the feel of it, everything is close within reach, which makes it feel like your traditional two-door vehicle. Now, Hyundai is not really known for having upscale and high quality interiors, especially back in 2013 when this vehicle came out. Like, there's no soft touch materials here on the dash, nor is there on the door cards, but there is, of course, a bit of padding where you rest your arms on the doors, and they even added a little bit of padding down here for your knees, but unfortunately I feel like it's kind of blocked by this plastic that kind of gets in the way. But nonetheless, it's a nice touch, I'll give them that. My favorite thing though about this interior is that they added little elements of sportiness to it by giving you aluminum pedals, and not to mention they reminded you that yes, you did pay the extra money for the turbo model, so you get that embroidered in the front seats here, which is also a nice addition. Now, there's some other things I like about the interior as well. The fact is that yes, you do have some of the modern amenities, and I know you don't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but you did get a CD navigation, and also you do have Bluetooth and all the other options with every other modern day vehicle. One of my favorite features of this interior is actually the panoramic glass roof. I think it's just the perfect addition to this vehicle. It allows a lot of light to come in and also makes it feel a little bit more upscale because not all vehicles back in 2013 came with this option. Some other cool features in addition to the panoramic glass roof is actually the sunglass holder up here, and then not to mention that both sun visors have mirrors and lights in them, which is great as well. But my favorite thing, which I think is a little bit outdated nowadays, is actually the fact that this vehicle comes with, that's right, AV cables to plug in to the infotainment system here, so that way you can play your gaming consoles or what have you. But nonetheless, it is a little outdated now, but it's just a cool addition that you could have gotten back in 2013. Because it's a three-door vehicle, let's check out the back area and see what it's like to get in there. When Hyundai designed this vehicle, they decided to put the third additional door on this side here. And I think the logic behind that was because they wanted people to get in and out of the vehicle safely, especially when you're parked alongside a curb rather than out in traffic, which works here in North America. But let's say you're in a European country, I think it kind of, well, speaks for itself. But nonetheless, I think the door on this side kind of blends in well with the rest of the vehicle. You can almost barely tell that it's there. But let's see now if it's easy to get in and out through this door. Honestly, that was not bad at all. I was actually expecting to get a little bit more of a struggle. Being the passenger in any modern day two-door, or even in this case a three-door vehicle, is not all that exciting, but you do get a little bit of space back here, which is nice. I do have some space for my knees with the seat adjusted for someone who's 5'11", and I do have a little bit of headroom, which is nice. I just have about maybe an inch and a half from the glass, which is not bad. But there's no other real amenities back here. I'd say they spent most of the money up at the front end of the vehicle, which would make sense, but you do get some nice stuff back here, like some cup holders here down the center, but no center armrest because this vehicle is actually only a 4-person vehicle rather than a 5-person vehicle. So that's why they put it down here rather than up on a armrest. Now, there's nothing else really back here. You can actually get out of the vehicle on the driver's side and as well through the door on the passenger side. And not to mention the fact that the passenger side, you do have a window switch for that side and not for this side because, as I was saying earlier, the door on this side is a lot longer, meaning that it's just a small little side window right here, which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to open. Although this vehicle may be classified as a hatchback, it's actually more of a liftback style, at least to get into the rear cargo area, and that's because when you lift the rear end here, the opening kind of goes at a bit of an angle, allowing more room for space to get larger items in, which I think is just brilliant. The rest of this cargo area is rather simplistic. You don't get any 12-volt power outlet, but you do get a subwoofer and some tie downs for netting and also your child seats as well. Ooh, that's fun. I love the sound of that turbo in this car. And that's my next thing I want to talk about is the engine. Now, this vehicle, the turbo model of the Veloster, is equipped with a 1.6 liter turbo gasoline direct injection engine. Now, the regular Veloster just has the 1.6 liter without the turbo, of course. Now, this engine makes 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, which may not seem like a lot, but believe me, in a vehicle this small and this much weight, it's perfect. It gives you just that enough power to make it feel fun. And nothing to really brag about in terms of 0 to 60 times, especially when you're comparing it to the Honda Civic Si and then also the Golf GTI. Now, this one only has about 6.9 seconds from 0 to 60, which again, doesn't mean a whole lot in a vehicle like this, but it is still good to know the numbers. And in terms of steering and all that handling nonsense, it does okay in that department too. I'm not too fond of the 6-speed manual transmission. Yes, there is a 6-speed dual clutch in this vehicle, but the manual transmission, as nice as it is, to kind of give you that bit of excitement, I feel like it's kind of a bit lackluster. Also, the throws are a bit shorter, but at the same time, the clutch itself is just not heavy enough. And actually, that's funny because I just replaced the clutch in this vehicle with a kind of higher end one, but yet it's still a bit too light, at least for my taste. If you were to ask me today, Nathan, what is your honest opinion about Hyundais and have you ever thought about buying one? Well, the answer is no. I'll be honest, no, it hasn't. But driving this vehicle, I've kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to Hyundai as a brand. And I will say that the quality of their vehicles, especially long term, it's quite good. I mean, it's better than it was. It's still not perfect. It's still not like it's a Toyota or anything like that. But they're trying. They're trying to be better than what they were. I remember the older Hyundais, I wouldn't touch those with a 10-foot pole. Now it's like, okay, I'll actually consider it. And this vehicle is no exception because, yes, the interior finishes are, have some scuffs. Like there's some bolsters that are, looking a little bit rough. And, it doesn't look as nice as it did from factory, but it does have 250,000 kilometers. And what's really surprising is there hasn't been really anything majorly wrong with this vehicle, at least not that I know of, from the previous owner. And the fact is that the clutch with this vehicle, the original one that is, it was just replaced. I did it, just about a month ago. And it's crazy. 250,000 kilometers on an original clutch. I mean, I'm sure it's not heard of, but for a vehicle like this, I wouldn't think that's even possible. Whether you think this vehicle is aesthetically pleasing to the eyes or a monstrosity of sorts, I think Hyundai had done a pretty good job overall with designing this vehicle. They did put the time and effort into it, and I think it shows. And honestly, after 10 years, I think it's held up pretty well. And not to mention that you can get one of these vehicles for about $10,000 Canadian, of course, depending on how many kilometers are on it, of course. But nonetheless, I think it is a decent vehicle. Yes, it's not a Civic Si or a Golf GTI, but it's getting in that territory. And even today, it still holds up pretty well performance-wise. And that's what makes this vehicle unique, and I think is going to make it more desirable in the future, especially as prices drop even more. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much for watching today's review. And if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and also consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more reviews such as this and other car content. And until next time, take care. Bye now.